Good afternoon, everyone. Joining us on Go Big or Go Home. I am the surprised old man who told us that our memory is not almost full, youngster. Caught me off guard. I'm going to start the show. I almost turned it over to you right away. How you doing?
Doing good. Doing fine. Not as well. I shouldn't say not as fine. I was not fine. This weekend, Sunday at 2:00 Eastern or so. That was not fine for me personally, and I know for people around the world, not personally for them either. But yeah, start of the week basically. So we're here now. We're obviously going to talk Big Ten basketball as we always do on this show, but we will do something for Kobe to start. But Troy, how are you?
Oh no, doing okay. Just another. Well, you got my mini road rage after my meeting and saying, hey, let's get this going. And I told you why. Like on meeting day, it's like my early day, and they do that on purpose because that allows us to get to our meeting. But if I don't have a meeting, I'm done 3 hours before, or 2.5 hours prior to now, and I don't have to battle these people on the highway. Like, if I could take a picture right now, there's literally a car horizontal in 4-lane traffic trying to get to the left exit lane. How moronic is that? I'm sorry. For the fans listening in, you got to excuse me. I do the show on my way home, and I probably shouldn't anymore. It just makes me mad. But other than that, there's things worse in the world than that. And like you said, youngster, I know Kobe had a meaningful impact on your life, and you're going to talk a little bit about that. Before we get into that, we're going to actually do a 24-second pause in memory of Kobe and his number 24. Like I told you yesterday on another show, youngster, I remember the number 8. You were just a wee little tyke when he wore number 8. Well, we're going to do a 24-second pause, and then I'm going to have you bring it back because I grew up, I got to see all of Kobe's career, which is kind of cool because I was in my 20s when he started. But you know how I felt when he first came out, and I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag. I'll share that a little bit later. You pretty much grew up with Kobe, molded some of your basketball things around Kobe. I was more of a spectator because I grew up with Michael Jordan. So I'm going to get into the pause. We're going to have a little 24-second memory of Kobe. When that's up, I'm going to let you start. I'll interrupt like I always do. Pretty much you know my thoughts, where I'm going to go and when I'm probably going to cut in. But, again, very, very much a tragedy on Sunday. I think most people listening to this show that are sports fan knows everything that happened, and more things are coming out about other survivors or other victims, everyone on the plane. So Kobe, his daughter, the 7 other people that were on this helicopter, our thoughts, our prayers go out to you, but this is a tribute for Kobe Bryant. 24 seconds of just dead silence, youngster, on the radio. Like we said, it seems like forever, but this is for Kobe. May he rest in peace.
That was 24 seconds right there. 24 seconds in pure silence. It does take a while.
Especially when we're on the radio, youngster. You think? Yeah. I mean, honestly, I went and I did the editing for the show last night for our Denver market.
Yeah.
And it's like that has to be more than 24 seconds. But you put on the timer, it's 20. It was like 23.8 because the editing software is like real precise. But it's like, really? It seemed like when you're listening to it live, it's like, okay, we're waiting for the youngster to come on here. Come on, youngster, what's going on? But it seems like forever. But take it away, youngster. I just sit back and listen to you talk. I think you were more affected by this tragedy than I was. Like I said, I'm still affected. And I told you my reflection of how I thought of, and I'll share that again today. But I think to a sense of the meaning of what Kobe meant in your life, I think personally, and he did to me on a personal level, but this still had some meaning in my life and my reflection when this tragedy occurred. So take it away.
Yeah. So I was 6 years old, I guess, when he went into the league. So you can't appreciate anything at 6 years old. But 8, 9, by 6
candy
years
bars.
old, candy bars, ice cream for dinner. But so even at 6 years old, like I was competing in recreational league basketball, leagues. That for me, I actually, I don't know if you know this, Troy. I competed, quote unquote, a very young kid in swimming, bowling, baseball, football, basketball. I think that's it.
Never knew you did the swimming.
Yeah, that was very.
Did you shave your legs? Did you shave your legs?
No. No, this was when I was. No, I know you are. My dad was a swim coach, diving coach, water polo coach. I know some ins and outs about swimming.
My good friend. I shouldn't say good friend. A couple of friends at Whitewater on the swim team. We had to share a locker room. Soccer and swimming shared a locker room, because our locker room was right next to the pool. And we would come in and we'd watch these guys shaving their legs. And so you got to remember now, I'm an 18-year-old kid walking in a locker room watching a grown man shave his legs. I'm like, What the heck? What's going on? And then I found out about the aerodynamics, and I'm like, oh, it makes sense. Now, I would never shave my legs, but, man, you gotta remember, this is a kid coming from Green Bay, Wisconsin, walking into a locker room, watching two guys sitting on a bench, shaving their legs next to each other, like, whoa, what's going on in this locker room?
If you don't know, like, swimming and how much it helps you, shaving your legs, that's, just shaving everything. You don't want hair on your body, basically. So if you don't know that, it's like, what in the world are you doing?
I was in awe, and then they explained to me what was going on. I'm like, oh, that makes complete sense. Continue shaving then. I wasn't quite sure what was going on here at first. All right, continue. Didn't mean to interrupt to get off topic. We want to keep it relatively short tonight. I know the Mrs. Youngster will probably be home in about 40 minutes.
Yeah, I think she's cooking steak tonight, so there's no time to mess
we got to get you out of here then.
But, swimming, what was the other one? Now I forgot. Bowling. Those two very minimally, and then baseball for a little bit, football for a very little bit.
I was in bowling, Youngster. We're talking sports. I was in bowling, city champ 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
All right, continue.
But so basketball, my point here, basketball was my bread and butter. That's at heart. I know we talk mostly football, and even like me and my friends, realistically, probably. Now I live on, completely different side of the country. So it's different when we talk. But football is the country's king, for sure, 100%, 1,000, no question about that. But basketball for me is my sport. That's how I grew up. That's something that I could talk to any of my best friends about, and for an hour, just say the word Kobe for me, and we could talk for an hour. Part of that is me being a Celtics fan growing up. So I quote unquote hated Kobe on the basketball court. Off the basketball court, once I was old enough to realize and understand, and truly, I think more as his career went on, he understood how cerebral he was and intellectual, and how brilliant of a mind he was. So I respected him in that regard. I respected him on the court too, as a fan rooting against him, basically. But off the court, that's the difference to me. I'll get to that later. But for me, he was truly a part of my childhood because basketball was my sport. I lived out in parks and practicing and traveling to games and competing in games, and my friends giving me crap about Kobe because they know I hate him, and one of my best friends is a Kobe fan and a Laker fan, so I heard about it basically daily. Just Kobe or the Lakers or kids throwing away trash in trash baskets and saying Kobe and me laughing and being like, oh, God, you got to be kidding me. But so that was my childhood growing up, basically with Kobe in my life, so to say, for basically 20 years. And then he retired, and you saw the impact he had on players today, players back then, coaches. You saw Doc Rivers. You see how he is as a father. You see coaches in China, players over in China playing not Tyson Chandler, Amari Stoudemire. I think he was playing in China, and he found out, and he was interviewed about it, and he's just complete loss of words. Any of these people that knew him and went to him for advice for anything, not just basketball, but anything in life. I forgot it. There was a tweet I saw today about a player who lost his dad a few years ago. I don't remember the player, but he lost his dad a few years ago, and he went to Kobe about it. It's like, and this was not like Pau Gasol, someone clearly, obviously close to Kobe, and this was like a Gerald Henderson type, like no real reason to reach out to Kobe, but he did. And it's like there was so much respect amongst the basketball community for him. So I don't know if I said this on the other show that we do, Troy, but for me, if a great basketball player were to die tomorrow, like not that I wouldn't care, it wouldn't hit me, it wouldn't impact me the way Kobe did, partially because of the impact I know he has on other people and how smart he is and what he was doing outside of basketball. Like, just because you're a great basketball player, just because you're a great football player and you pass away, yeah, it's sad. But that Kobe thing truly impacted me for 24 hours. The morning after, I always talk NFL for a Canadian station in Montreal. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday during the NFL season, and they asked me about Kobe, and I talked about him for probably 1 minute, and I just got completely choked up. That was the morning after, and I just got completely choked up. We had to just, all right, time to talk about Pro Bowl, because it was just, I basically couldn't. I was going to break down, and I didn't. I held back plenty of tears over that 24-hour period, and then I think it just sunk in. And all that true sorrow, again, for a guy I never knew who just played basketball, I'm surprised how much he ended up impacting my life, so to say. Not personally saying that, I idolized him and everything like that, but just how much of a part of my life he was, being, playing basketball in the state of California. I mean, it didn't hit me until he died, unfortunately, how impactful he was on my life growing up, my childhood, I should say, growing up. Truly.
Here's a big piece of it, youngster. You gotta think about the number of years that he played. You were 6 years old when he got drafted. He played 20 years. That's just up until a few years ago. So you basically followed him for a lifetime. Literally followed him for a lifetime. My son, I know he tweeted, or you tweeted, one of them tweeted, he shed tears. My son had Kobe Bryant jerseys. He had T-shirts that had Bryant on the back. My son was a big Kobe Bryant fan. I bought those shirts for him. And I think his tweet was, been crying all day or something like that. He tweeted back to you. And I think you had sent out a tweet. So, you don't realize, because a lot of times, I think where you're going with this, youngster, you didn't realize it because you don't pick up the phone, you don't send a text to Kobe Bryant. You don't give him a phone call, right? You don't shoot him an email. You don't converse on Twitter. You and I can say this from the bottom of my heart, the years that we've known each other, you have an impact on my life. I learn things from you all the time, youngster. I never tell you, but we do shows 4 times a week, right?
Right.
And we converse via text. So the way that we communicate, you have an impact in my life, but I talk to you every day.
Right.
And so, of course, yeah, if you left this world, I would be very heartbroken. But I think what you're trying to say is there's a man out there that you've never conversed with that didn't even know who in the world you were.
Right.
But he had a very meaningful piece in your life. You know, again, it wasn't words of wisdom, but you followed him and the things that he did. And I shared this on the other show. The things he did off the court to me, Kevin, yeah, he was a great basketball player and those things and the game. But I was really looking at the things that he did off the court that really made him impressive to me, because a lot of great players, you don't hear about them when they retire.
Or they turn into an offensive coordinator somewhere, and it's like, okay, see you later. And
or
you never
you're
really
Brett Favre and you do, what is that, whatever that thing is that goes around your waist. You do those type commercials. I mean, a lot of NFL, I shouldn't say NFL, a lot of stars in any sport, they're looking to continue to make money after their sport is done based on their name. That's what they're looking to do. They're looking to use their name to make money. Kobe could have cared. I shouldn't speak for him, but you didn't see Kobe going out using his name to have future endeavors. He made the Mamba Academy.
Yeah, I forgot who
Kobe
it was.
Bryant. He didn't put his name on it.
Yeah.
He didn't call it the Kobe Bryant Academy.
Right. I forgot who it was, Troy, but someone was like, he tried like commentating something for like one time, and he was like, this sucks. Like, get me out of here. I don't want to do this. And can he do it? Can he do it extremely effectively? Can he make a lot of money because TNT or someone would pay him? Sure, but instead he just wanted to do his own thing, his own little Mamba Academy and coaching. And I know he did that like ESPN detail thing, but that wasn't for ESPN. That was just him completely breaking down the game and just giving his complete, utter analysis on it. And ESPN saying, hey, let's buy this and use it, basically. But he didn't want to be with other people just talking basketball on a little set and saying, hey, I know a bunch of basketball. Let's see what happens with the Jazz and the Suns.
Some of the pieces I saw, youngster, he actually stopped watching basketball when he retired. Like, stopped watching it completely. And didn't start watching it until Gigi got involved in basketball, and she basically begged him to watch basketball. And I saw last night, I think it was on Inside Edition, my wife had on the TV, and I got home from work and I was watching, and basically Gigi convinced him that they needed the NBA season pass so she could watch every game that was on. Those are cool stories. Those are cool stories.
So just
continue.
Not for me. I'll wrap it up here. That for me, again, just the impact he had on my childhood and growing up. I think because basketball was truly in my heart, and all my best friends, all we did was play basketball, and if we played video games.
Well, you tried to emulate him. I would imagine, youngster, how many times did you go out in the driveway or go to the park and you wanted to be Kobe Bryant on the play? Well, not you. You were a Celtic fan, probably.
Right.
So you never wanted to be Kobe.
I didn't do that, but players I played with, players I traveled with to games, players, even little rec leagues and stuff, like, I just heard about it constantly, and playing
I'm sure people wanted, when you were growing up playing, people probably wanted the number 8 jersey.
Yeah.
Because it was Kobe Bryant.
Absolutely. Right. Absolutely. So it was just, again, I didn't realize it, and not that it would have made a difference to me if I had realized it before, because, again, I didn't know Kobe. But it's crazy how much someone like that can impact you from afar, someone you don't even know. He provided entertainment and a talking point for me and my peers for 20-plus years. And that's
really he was a can't-miss interview. Like, I was watching a lot of these clips that they showed, the just little bits and pieces, and over the years, I'm like, I remember that interview. I remember that. Like when it's almost like E.F. Hutton. When Kobe Bryant talked, it was usually articulate, and he usually had a good point to it, and you didn't get done with the interview going, God, that guy's just a bamboozle. You know, he's talking out of his rear.
That's the big
Kobe
thing to me.
was articulate.
Yeah, that's another huge point to me. It's not even as though, like, Allen Iverson could die tomorrow, and he was a phenomenal basketball player, and of that same era, basically, and I grew up, and he grew up, and, you know, around the same time period, and I watched all his great games. One of my friends growing up around basketball just idolized, loved AI. But if he died tomorrow, I don't have that same respect, and maybe that's on me, maybe I'm wrong for that. I don't have that same respect for Allen Iverson as I did Kobe Bryant, even though I quote-unquote hated Kobe Bryant because he was a Laker. I know how, again, intelligent Kobe Bryant was, and that brought another sense of respect. And so that, for me, it just adds to the sorrow. Allen Iverson dies tomorrow, yeah, I'm sad about it. But
you'll have empathy. You'll have empathy.
It doesn't impact me the same way.
Not in the same degree that you do right now.
Right.
So I want to share with the listeners my story about my first impression of Kobe Bryant. You remember this from yesterday. I was in my 20s when he got drafted. And again, I'm an old school NBA guy, youngster. You got to remember, I grew up with, in my early teens, like 10, 11, 12, and then 13, 14, it was Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. And I always prayed for my Milwaukee Bucks. Come on, Sidney Moncrief. Come on. Take down the mighty Larry Bird in the finals, in the Eastern Conference Finals. Come on. You know, it just would never happen. It was always Bird versus Magic. And so I grew up right at the tail end of their careers with those two. And that was unbelievable watching them play. And then I got Michael Jordan. So I got blessed with that. And then I'm in my 20s. And probably even a more avid sports fan at this point. And now it's Kobe Bryant coming right out of high school. I really thought he was an arrogant you-know-what. I'm like, who does this kid think he is? He thinks he's a Hall of Famer, blah, blah. I hope this kid falls flat on his face. You know, that's really how I felt about Kobe Bryant first coming into the league. I'm an old school guy, and you're coming in right out of high school. Who do you think you are? I mean, what are you going to prove, young man? And then the more I watched him play and the way he played the game, the way he prepared, I hear this all the time, and anybody listening in has heard it a million times too. And Tiger Woods said it. The guy brought it on both ends of the court, youngster. Yeah. He understood the value of defense, how it propelled the offense. And so as I watched him play, I admired Kobe Bryant the more he played.
Right. That gives me more respect for him, too, because any you-know-what that's very talented can step on a basketball court and average 17 points a game if he really wants to. Like,
in today's game, you can average 20 because they heave out three-pointers like we're eating pudding.
Right. But if you can do it efficiently nowadays, that takes you to another level. And if you can bring it on both sides of the court, like Kawhi is great, Giannis is great, but what makes them the top two players in the league basically is defensively too. It's not just scoring 30 a game. James Harden scores 35 a game. He doesn't do it as efficiently, and defensively he's a joke. So I don't have that respect for James Harden at all whatsoever.
Giannis, he knows the defensive position. He knows how to get in a defensive position.
Yeah, he's not clueless. So
he just doesn't want to do it. He's waiting for the long rebound and the fast break.
Right.
And then this was not to get off a tangent. Where the NBA has gone right now, youngster, fast break in my day, and even in part of your day, a fast break like a 2-on-1 or a 3-on-2. They work the ball around and bam, slam-a-jamma, making the rim and the backboard shake, and you saw backboard shatter. To the fast break meant a slam dunk, and that's what we waited for. Today's game, oh, look, 2-on-1. Oh, I'm going to go sit in the corner, feed me the ball, 2-on-1. I'm going to fire up a three-pointer.
Right.
They don't go to the hoop as much anymore. I mean, it's just the way the game has changed. Sorry to throw that out there, but you always I was going back to what I said before. I always learn things from you. And when you talk, my mind moves at rapid speeds with different thoughts. Yeah.
By the way, Troy, I learn a lot from you. I appreciate all the shows that we do. I know I never say that because why on a random Tuesday would I say, hey, Troy, you know what? I love you and I care about you and I love the shows we do and you're amazing.
Who was that guy on Saturday Night Live? Was that Stuart Smiley?
Name sounds right.
This is way back. This might have been in my Whitewater days. I think it was my Whitewater days, and I don't remember the exact skit, but it's like something about love and I love you or I like you. Yeah. We're not going to be going down that path on the shows.
Right.
Yeah. We have that kind of admiration for each other.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll leave it at that. Again, if you want to hear more Kobe stuff, we kind of summarized a little quicker on this show, but other shows that we do on Twitter at youngsteroldman, that's the site, that's the link at youngsteroldman on Twitter, all one word, that posts all the shows that we do. So if you want more Kobe talk, there you go.
If you actually want the raw emotion of the youngster, though, and that yesterday's show was great, youngster. I mean, that was the day after. You kind of spilled it out there. You laid it out there. If you want to listen to that show, not only tune into follow at Youngster Old Man, because the link kind of goes out a little bit late. Make sure you go to Twitter and follow at Elevation 5280 Sports. It might even be Elevation Sports. It's in our timeline. They'll actually send out a link 30 minutes before the show airs on the Denver market. And that show yesterday is going to be airing on Friday night. And it's 8 o'clock Eastern Time, 5 o'clock Pacific Time. The youngster, and it was great. It was just the youngster, like you said, you've kind of come to a little bit better terms today. But yesterday, youngster was pure emotion about Kobe Bryant. That show airs on Friday night. So follow us on Twitter at Youngster Old Man. Elevation Sports is the station that we actually play that show on. Again, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, 5 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Central, whatever time zone you're in. You ready to move on to some Big Ten basketball there, my friend?
Pretty much. One last thing. If you really want raw emotion for my 1 minute of me choking up truly about Kobe and about to cry, that's tsn.ca. That's pushing the little Canadian radio station I talk NFL at, tsn.ca. You can, scroll on their page, and they usually post my little 15-minute segments that I do as well. If you really want, to hear me about to lose it, and that tsn.ca. There you go. Anyway, so moving on, college basketball here very quickly before, I want to get the show moving here. So very quickly, top 25, very quick bracketology before we start recapping and previewing Big Ten basketball games here. Top 25, Michigan State went 1-1 this past week, so they dropped 3. So again, no Big Ten team. Michigan State's still the top 1, but they're at 14 now. So Big Ten's great, Big Ten this, Big Ten that. Michigan State's 14, they're the top team. Maryland 15, Iowa 18, Illinois 19, and Penn State 24, Rutgers 25. So you've got, 2, 4, 6 teams, 14 to 25. And then you've got Ohio State, Indiana, Purdue, Wisconsin, all receiving votes as well.
Yeah, Wisconsin will fall out, though, after last. They may not get any more votes. However, it was on the road at Iowa, so that wasn't an easy task.
Right.
I bet against them.
Yeah, understandable. So, anyway, that's the latest top 25, and then bracketology. ESPN's Joe Lunardi still has 12 Big Ten teams in, and as Troy has mentioned before, and I think this is a good rule to follow going forward in the years to come, unless things change. Joe Lunardi is not going to account for some random 4 seed in the Horizon League beating out Butler and stealing a bid. So these teams that are quote-unquote last four in, or these last teams that have to play play-in games, you can almost consider them out of the tournament because there will be upsets come conference tournament time. So like Minnesota is one team that is quote-unquote last four in. I guarantee you that once all the conference tournaments are played, 3, 4, 5 bids will be stolen by random teams that go 17 and 16 and win their conference tournament and get in. And they end up taking a team like Minnesota's spot. So those last four teams, no matter what bracketology you're looking at, you can almost consider them out of the tournament. I think that's almost fair to say. But so anyway, that's bracketology. That's latest top 25. Unless you got more there, Troy, we can go over the games from last week.
Well, do you have the Big Ten standings up in front of you? Because it really is indicative of how the AP Top 25 is forming when you go through the standings. And you know, I don't give two cahoots about the AP Top 25. I really don't. Not right now. I mean, as we get closer to tournament time, I'll take a look and we'll kind of see where teams are. But the AP Top 25 is nothing more than a bunch of writers and coaches thinking how good a team is. I really don't look at how good a team is, and I know you don't either, Kevin, until we get to about the middle of February, like that maybe second to last week of February, when we're getting down to like the final 6 games of the conference tournaments. Because can you go in a slump and go into the tournament and win it? You could, if you're that good. But a lot of times we look at teams making runs. They're the ones playing really good in the middle of February, beginning of March, make deep runs in their conference tournaments, sometimes winning them. But those are the teams that make damage and noise in the NCAA tournament. I could care less right now about Baylor. I really could. How is Baylor going to be playing come February 25th? That's what I want to know. They could be playing as well as they are now. I don't know. But maybe February 25th, maybe they're in a slump. And maybe they're beatable. Right. So I just wanted you to go through the standings because you talk about Big Ten being, the highest one is 14. But you have a clump right there of 6 teams. And when you go through the standings, you're going to see why there's a big clump.
I can make the argument for 7. But yeah, Illinois and Michigan State are tied atop the Big Ten at 7 and 2. Illinois has won 6 straight games. 6. So Illinois and Michigan State are 7 and 2. There is some parity now. So I can make the argument for 7. Actually, wait a minute. No, it's 7. So anyway, Illinois, Michigan State are 7 and 2. Maryland, Iowa, Rutgers, all 6 and 3. Overall, 16 and 4, 15 and 5, 15 and 5. You can put them in that kind of next tier, so to say. Not to say Illinois deserves to be above those other teams, or even Michigan State for that matter, because again, overall wise, five of those 6 teams I mentioned are 15 and 5. Maryland 16 and 4. They all have positive, at least 6 and 3 in the Big Ten. Those teams are doing great. Then you got Indiana at 5 and 4. They're the only team that's 5 and 4. They're kind of next in line. They're also 15 and 5 overall, doing really well. Penn State is the other team I would group in there. Now they're only 4 and 4 in conference, so they're underneath Wisconsin and Minnesota, who are 5 and 5 technically. But Penn State is 14 and 5 overall. So you can kind of lump them in. They've been playing good basketball. They won both games this past week. They're doing well. Those 7 have kind of separated, so to say, away from Wisconsin, Minnesota, Purdue, Ohio State, Michigan, Nebraska, Northwestern. I'll read off the others. Like Wisconsin's 5 and 5, Minnesota's 5 and 5, but they're 12 and 9 and 11 and 9 overall. That's a lot different than 14 and 5, 15 and 5, 16 and 4. So Wisconsin, Minnesota playing 500 basketball in the Big Ten. If you do that, you're going to make the tournament.
Well, Wisconsin, and I'm going to just interrupt. Wisconsin and Minnesota need to do something on the road, which is really hard to do in the Big Ten. Wisconsin had a golden opportunity last night. We're recording the show on Tuesday. Monday night, and we're going to recap the game and the games that have already been played. They had a golden opportunity to kind of put themselves into that upper tier that I don't want to say are locks to make the NCAA tournament, but teams that are getting a really good hard look, and if the tournament started today, would be in. If the tournament started today, Kevin, I don't think Wisconsin's in. It's just based on their record. I know Lenardi says they are. I know that. But if the tournament started today and we projected this to a 20-game conference schedule, you got 5 more wins, 5 more losses for Wisconsin. That puts them at 17-14, Kevin. They're not getting in at 17-14. No way.
I don't know. That would involve.
Well, it would all depend too if they won 2 games in the Big Ten tournament.
Right.
I think 19 wins might get you in the NCAA tournament this year.
This year in the Big Ten, yeah. I think 19 does, honestly.
I just wanted to throw that out there about Wisconsin and Minnesota. They need to do. They really need to do something special on the road. They need to get 1 or 2 road wins so that they can be 12-8. Because with their record, like you just mentioned, at around 500, I mean, you talked about those upsets that are going to happen. Okay,
right.
If there's no upsets, then okay, where they're at. Oh, I feel pretty confident. But like you said, Kevin, there's always upsets every year. There's one of those automatic bids that gets taken by a team that is nowhere on the radar. Their RPI is, 190. But, man, they got hot in March. They won their tournament. And, Butler wowed out. And, Butler's getting in. And, so is another team. But if Wisconsin and Michigan can get to 12-8 or even 11-9, okay, that gives you a little more power, especially being in the Big Ten. Continue.
Underneath Penn State at 4-4 is Purdue at 4-5. That's not great, and neither is 11-9 overall. Ohio State's 3-6, 13-7 overall. That's a little better. But Ohio State, you don't want to go 7-13. 3-6. I shouldn't say 7-13, but they're 3-6 right now. If they went basically 500 the rest of the way, you're talking 8-12 or so. So that's not great. That being said, they would have 18 wins, and then who knows what happens in the Big Ten tournament. Michigan has lost 4 straight. They're 2-6 in the Big Ten, 11-8.
Weren't they ranked like 4th in the country at one time?
Yeah. Yes, they were. Also, one thing with Michigan, I must
being
say,
sarcastic on that one.
No, I know. Isaiah Livers is one of their, if not their best scorer at this point. He's been out for a while. He's supposed to play tonight. So they are getting a big-time scorer, quote-unquote big-time scorer for that team.
And they need it. They need it pretty bad.
Yeah. So that will help for sure. But so that's Michigan, and then you got the 2 bottom dwellers, Nebraska and Northwestern, who, they're not making the NCAA tournament this year.
I will say this, though, because we don't give any love to the bottom dwellers, right? We don't. I am going to give them props. You turn on a game, they know they're not making the NCAA tournament, but you would never know when they play a game. They're going out there and they're playing to the best of their ability. They're just not as skilled as these other teams right now. But they're not waving the white flag, and you're not seeing, Kevin, teams go into Northwestern and blow them out by 20. You're not seeing Nebraska losing by 18. They're playing tough. And maybe the final score does end up being like 12 points. But if you follow the game, and I do a Big Ten show, so I follow the game, I follow the scores, I do DraftKings, I do sports books, I'm following these games. And you're watching Northwestern hang in there. And I told you this, youngster, a couple of times, when I see the line, and I see a Northwestern all of a sudden be like plus 600, and they're down by 4, I'm like, you know what? I got $5 I can throw on this to really make some cash if they can pull off the upset. Because to me, losing $5 not a big deal, but at those odds and only down by 4, heck, I'm going to take that bet. So these teams, I want to give them a little bit of love because they're playing everybody really tough. You've got to go and be ready to play when you're playing Northwestern and Nebraska. If you're not ready to play, they might sneak up on you and steal one, and that would kill your NCAA.
Yeah.
I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, one game this past week that stuck out was Maryland traveled to Northwestern, and they were down for the first, it was like 36 minutes of the game or so, and then they finally overtook the lead and closed them out. But yeah, that was on the road. That was Maryland. That's a top 15 team. And they nearly lost at Northwestern. They lost the majority of the game until the last, 3-4 minutes. So you got to come to play. Speaking of which, that's the game I was talking about right here. Tuesday, the 21st, first game from this past week, Maryland at Northwestern. Like I said, they were down 40-26 at halftime. And then they outscored in the second half, 51-26, so they won by 11, but they were outplayed for most of the game. So it took a late surge for Maryland to get past Northwestern. Crazy but true. One big one also Tuesday night, Illinois at Purdue. Illinois won that one by 17. Like I said before, Illinois has won 6 straight games. They won the second half by 18. They put up 50 points. To win at Purdue that has proven to be extremely difficult this year.
That was odd. That was odd.
It shows, I think it shows that Illinois is actually a good team. If you can go to Purdue, if you can go to Iowa, if you can go to Michigan State, if you can go to Maryland, heck, if you can go to Rutgers and win, you're pretty good. Because nobody has gone to Rutgers and won this year. Nobody. Not one team. Not one. So it means something to go on the road and beat these NCAA tournament-worthy teams on the road. And Illinois did that. That was a convincing, nice win. Kofi Cockburn, the freshman center, 22-15 in that game. We always talk about bigs in the Big Ten, and this year it seems like there's even more as far as quality big men. But this kid's a freshman at Illinois, and he's putting up 22-15 on the road against good teams. He's for real to pair with the NBA guards that they have. They have a couple next-level guards that will play professionally. And then you add this monster freshman big who's really doing damage now. Illinois is good. I liked him before the year. I like him just as much now. Also Tuesday night, Wisconsin over Nebraska. Wisconsin was at home. They won 82-68. They were the lone Big Ten home team to win Tuesday night. That was odd, but Wisconsin took care of business.
Yeah, very odd, and it was very, very costly on my pocketbook.
I'm sure. Moving to Wednesday.
Going into that, I know we got to move quick because the Mrs. Youngsters cooking steaks. The way the home records are, I really didn't think that Purdue would get blown out.
Right.
So I took Purdue at home. They've been playing so good at home.
Yeah.
And it's just funny because the home teams have been pretty dominant in the Big Ten. All right, carry on.
You're starting to now see, Indiana has lost twice at home. Minnesota has lost twice at home. Purdue's lost twice at home. Ohio State's lost twice at home. Michigan's lost 3 times at home now. So you're starting to see some road teams pick up wins, but it's still ridiculous, the overall numbers of it. But you're starting to see more. Anyway, Wednesday, Iowa at home against Rutgers. This was a big one. If Rutgers really wanted to prove something, they would have went on the road and won. They lost 85-80. They were up at half, so they put up a fight, but they did not come away with the win. Iowa won by 5 there. So that's beating Rutgers, even if you're the home team. That's not bad.
That was a good win for Iowa.
Yeah, which is, again, you were at home against Rutgers and you won by 5, and that's a good win. That's insane. Anyway, moving on. Michigan at home against Penn State. Michigan lost. Again, they've lost 4 straight games now. They get back arguably their best scorer in Livers. So we'll see how they do here on. But Penn State won that one 72-63. They had an early lead. So is what it is there. But Penn State going on the road, getting a win that will be important come Selection Sunday. for sure. Thursday, Indiana was at home to Michigan State. I didn't see the whole game. I know Indiana was up at half. I know Michigan State was up at some point. But Indiana actually beat Michigan State. Again, Indiana was at home. So they won 67-63. That was a tight one. That was huge if you're Indiana. Anytime you can beat Michigan State, that's huge. Illinois might be right there with Michigan State record-wise, and they've won 6 straight. They look as impressive maybe, but Michigan State is still neutral court. You would pick Michigan State to beat Illinois.
You got the depth and the talent on Michigan State, and again, it's the Big Ten.
Yeah.
I mean, Michigan State, the quality they have, but it really, I'm just gonna be gooberish Big Ten because it's a Big Ten show. Doesn't matter where you go. Doesn't matter if you're Michigan State, Illinois. Doesn't matter if you're Nebraska, Northwestern. You got to be ready to play every night, because I really believe that any team can beat any other team in the Big Ten on any given night. And I can't go down every other conference and say that. I can't even say that in the ACC.
No.
I can't say there's going to be a competitive game every game in the ACC. Darn good conference. Darn good. But I still believe the Big Ten is better. Just based on the quality and the love they just gave Northwestern and Nebraska, they come to play. And I'm not saying in the ACC they don't come to play, the bottom dwellers there. But those games, sometimes at halftime, are pretty much done. Or 5 minutes into the second half, they're pretty much done.
Yeah.
Northwestern, Nebraska are pushing these teams to the final 7-8 minutes. And that's crunch time. And they just don't have the skill to overcome the other team. But the heart is there. The passion's there. They're playing to win. They're not a token game. So
they have enough talent. They have enough talent to make it interesting. Like Rutgers football doesn't have enough talent to make it interesting. But basketball, no matter what team it is in the Big Ten, they have the talent to at least make it interesting. There are no doormats. So, anyway, also Thursday night, sorry I cut you off, Troy. Minnesota at Ohio State. Minnesota at Ohio State. Minnesota held Ohio State to 22 points in the second half. Again, Minnesota was on the road, but they picked up a road win here. Marcus Carr hit a game-winning 3 with 4 seconds left, so that helps. Again, it also helps holding the other team to 22 points and a half. So Minnesota got a very nice road win there. That was, I'm sure it'll prove to be important down the line. Friday, the 24th, Wisconsin only game on Friday, Wisconsin at Purdue. Purdue held Wisconsin to 15 points in the first half, and they won by 19.
I have no comment on that. Ruined my whole Friday night. Just tell the fans again how many points they scored in the first half.
Yeah, Wisconsin had 15, so they were on pace to score 30 for the entire game.
15!
Right.
15 points! How do you only score 15 points?
Yeah.
Oh, the heartache of being a Badger fan. Oh, that was a tough one. That was a tough one, youngster. I mean, here's the funny thing. I'm sitting here cheering for Wisconsin, but I bet on Purdue.
Right.
I mean, I didn't expect Wisconsin to win the game, but again, it's kind of like the Packers against the 49ers. Yeah, I figured the 49ers were going to win, but I thought that would be a game. Same thing on Friday night. I'm like, okay, Wisconsin, come on, go play a good game on the road at Purdue, lose by 4 or 5, make it look good so you can say, hey, well, we were at Purdue, we played them tough.
Right.
Oh, man, no. That is a bad – so here's my thing. If the human nature of the committee, Kevin, you look at this, to me, that's a bad loss because they got blown out. To Purdue, Illinois is not a shoe-in to the NCAA tournament, even though it's at Purdue.
Illinois went to Purdue and won by almost 20. Wisconsin went to Purdue and lost by almost 20.
Exactly.
And
bad loss for Wisconsin.
Yeah. Saturday, 25th, Illinois at Michigan. Again, Illinois won the game. It was close. 64-62, but, one of their NBA guards, DeSunmu, 27 points, had a late shot that was big. Illinois is very talented, inside, outside, depth. They can get up and down the court. They have a big. They're for real, and I think they're better than 21st in the country. I'll say that. Well, now they're ranked 19th, I guess, but I think they're better than that. I really do. But yeah, Illinois at Michigan. That's again a nice win, but we'll see what Michigan's all about. I think from this point forward. Nebraska at Rutgers. Rutgers took care of business barely, 75-72. They had another a late shot that kind of helped them win the game. So again, goes to show even Nebraska on the road pushes a top 25 team, pushes a 15-5 team, pushes a team that on the road, again, Rutgers had not lost this year. They almost lost to Nebraska. So even when you get Nebraska or Northwestern at your place and you're a perfect 13-0 at your place, you still narrowly escape with a 3-point win. Can't say that about any
let's
league.
be real about it, though, youngster. You and I, when those two teams are playing, we're pretty much saying they're going to lose. The game is going to be. But they're in there, like we said now, to have a chance to pull an upset, you better be ready to play. If you're Wisconsin and put up 15 against Nebraska, you're losing.
Right.
You're losing. So I know they didn't lose to Nebraska, but if they would have done 15 points in the first half, they would have lost to Nebraska. You've got to be ready to play. That's the theme of our show today. You've got to be ready to play in the Big Ten every night, home or away.
Yeah. Speaking of away, Sunday, this was really, truly the first, oh, my God, look, teams on the road can win. Sunday there were 3 games. All 3 road teams won. Michigan State went to Minnesota and won by 18. I think that was impressive. Minnesota's not an easy place to play. Maryland went to Indiana and won by 1. I know they won on, again, basically a last-second thing. One of their bigs, Jalen Smith, 29-11. So that was huge for Maryland. And then Ohio State went to Northwestern, took care of business. They won by 12. Ohio State needed that, for sure. If they had lost that, they would have been 2-7 in the Big Ten. But they went to Northwestern and won. Now they're 3-6. So they're staying alive partially because
Barely.
they're 13-7 overall. They're 13-7 overall. So if you win 5, you lose 6 even. I mean, you're 8-12 in the Big Ten. We saw 8-12 last year get in the tournament. If you go 5-6, they're 18-13 overall. You win 1, you win 2, there's 19-20 wins. It's the Big Ten, you're in. So Ohio State, thanks to their non-conference, can almost afford to be 3-6, but, they do have some work to do. You can't be under 500, I think, the rest of the way. So they have to take care of business. They did Sunday. So I'll leave it at that. Monday, last game to recap here, Wisconsin at Iowa. Again, it's the last one. The only one from Monday. Iowa won 68-62. Two teams were tied at half. Luka Garza, they're big. You notice a theme here, 21-18. Iowa took care of business at home.
This was a better showing, though, for Wisconsin on the road. I was really worried last night. Now, in Sportsbook, I bet with Iowa. I took Iowa, money line, straight up. But I was really concerned about Wisconsin after that humiliating performance on Friday night, how they would respond going back-to-back on the road to another tough place to play. As a Badger fan, yeah, it's a loss. Didn't want the loss, but they didn't fold. You know what I'm saying? At least they went out and they competed in a tough environment. They didn't get handed their you-know-whats to them. They played. So a loss is still a loss at the end of the day, but I really could have, part of me, the pessimistic side of me, youngster, that I get once in a while was saying, my God, I was going to win this game by 20 points because Wisconsin's done. They're going down the hill. The optimist side of me said, well, maybe they can hang in there and pull one off. And at halftime, I was really optimistic. Unfortunately, it was a weeknight game, so I didn't get to see all of the second half because I had to get to bed. So,
understandable. So, Tuesday, previewing. Tuesday night, as you're listening to the show, these games are over, but Tuesday night, the 28th, Michigan at Nebraska. Again, you have to go to Nebraska and play. Certainly no gimme. You will have livers. By the way, Michigan had livers for Illinois, and he only played 20 minutes. So I think, easing him back, understandable. Coming back from an injury, I'm sure he'll play more as the year goes on. But if you're Michigan, you don't want to go to 2-7 and lose to Nebraska. You want to go to 3-6 and beat Nebraska. Again, it's kind of
a must-win. It's a must-win. I know I'm giving love to Nebraska and Northwestern, but if you're a team above them, if you're one of the 12 above them, you need to beat them when you play them, whether it's home or away. You can't afford to lose a game to them, just as how tight the standings are and how tight the records are. You can't afford a loss against one of those two teams.
Yep, agreed. I would pick Michigan to go and beat Nebraska. Would you?
I'm not home yet, and I haven't put my parlay together yet. I'll have to take a look at the line, because if I'm going money line, I'll go Michigan.
-4.
If they're giving Nebraska, how many points are they giving Nebraska?
4 on my screen anyway. Michigan -4.
Nah,
I would take Michigan.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably take Michigan in the money line. Hopefully Nebraska doesn't. This isn't their upset.
Right. Also, Tuesday night, Purdue at Rutgers. I'm taking Rutgers at home. They haven't lost yet, so I'm not picking against them just yet.
No, I'm not picking. I'm not picking against Rutgers at home, and Purdue is not as. I don't want to say not as good. They
haven't played as well.
There you go. You say it so eloquently. They haven't played as well on the road.
Yeah.
So tonight it'll be Rutgers in the parlay.
There you go. Wednesday the 29th, Northwestern at Michigan State. This is as easy as it gets to pick. Yeah, that's as easy as it gets to pick. Also, Indiana at Penn State. Going Penn State at home. That's equal talent. You can argue Penn State's better.
That is a huge game for Indiana right there.
Yeah.
This is one of those games. We talk about teams needing to separate themselves. If Indiana wants to nudge their way up, this would be a huge win on the road. But Penn State plays good at home. What's their home record? 1 loss or 2? I think they only got 1.
1. Yeah, 10-1 at home.
Tough to play on the road in the Big Ten.
Yeah. Not impossible, as we saw this past week, but it's not easy. Thursday, the 30th, Minnesota at Illinois. I'm not taking anyone to go to Illinois and win. I would take Illinois at home to beat Michigan State. If Indiana can beat Michigan State at Indiana, I would take Illinois to beat Michigan State.
The way Illinois is playing right now, youngster, I'm taking Illinois everywhere.
Even at Michigan
Illinois
State, you would
is
take
playing
Illinois?
Really good. If Illinois and Michigan State played tonight, I would probably take Illinois. I think Illinois is playing better basketball right now. Again, It's January. It's not the end of February. But today, and the way Illinois is playing right now, I'm taking Illinois. I think right now Illinois, on January 28th, is playing the best basketball in the Big Ten. I didn't say they're the best team in the Big Ten. I said they're playing the best basketball in the Big Ten.
Yeah. No, yeah, they are.
And that could change, but that could change by next week when we do the show. Very well could.
Yeah.
So, I'm not betting against Illinois this week. That means they're going to lose.
I was an Illinois lover before the year started. Now we got Troy on board. So there we go. Go Fighting Illini.
For this week.
Also, I'm sticking with Illinois. Don't worry. Illinois fans, you can love me. Thursday night, really good one. Iowa at Maryland. And I'll take Maryland because I think these are two equally talented teams. Again, you can argue Maryland's a little better. So picking-wise, yes, Maryland at home, you pick Maryland, but that's a really good Sweet 16 level game right there. That's not a joke of a game.
No, I take Maryland at home too, and if this game was at Iowa, I'd take Iowa at home.
Right. Same here. Yeah. Don't think there's too much separating those teams. But that's, you want to see quality basketball, there you go. Thursday night, Iowa at Maryland. Friday, no games. Saturday, there are a ton of games. Indiana at Ohio State. I would pick Ohio State to win. This is a huge one for Ohio State. Again, they're 3-6 in the Big Ten. You're at home. You should win. You're playing a team that is not phenomenal, but they're a team that is good. They've proven to be good this year, and you're at home. So that's a biggie for Ohio State. At home against Indiana, I would pick them to win at home. But again, if you want to prove that you don't belong in the tournament, there you go. Fall to Indiana at home. That'll be a nice one. Nice one to give up. Not for Buckeye fans, but
No, and I think Indiana, the way that if they lose at Penn State, then they got to travel to Ohio State. I mean, if they go 0-2 this week, all of a sudden we're talking about a team that could nudge up to the top, or by the end of the week, they could be down in that bottom.
They'd be 5-6, and they'd be 5-6 in the Big Ten. So, with 2 losses.
How quickly the standings can change.
Yep. Also, 1:00 p.m. Eastern, Fox, Michigan State at Wisconsin. I'll pick Michigan State to go to Wisconsin and win.
So will I. I'm a big Badgers guy. You know that I am, but Michigan State's got too much.
Yeah.
Too much. That's all I got. You can move
right.
on. I mean, I'm not going to break the game down as a Badger fan.
Yeah.
It's just Michigan State is more talented than Wisconsin.
Right. They have the advantage everywhere. I think that's fair to say. They have the advantage everywhere. Nowhere does Wisconsin have the advantage, other than the fact that they're at home. So, on the court, I don't see an advantage there. But
the only advantage is that big red W in the middle of the court.
Right. Yeah. 4:30. Rutgers at Michigan. That'll be interesting, especially if Livers playing more, and that'll be interesting. That's a tough one to pick, because I'm not completely sold on Rutgers. I know they're playing good basketball. I know they're 14-0 at home. I know they're 1-4 on the road. I guess I'd take Michigan there if I had to, straight up. But that's tough. What about you, Troy?
Yeah, that is a coin toss game to me right now, and
yeah,
you just look at it. Michigan, they've got to start playing basketball. We're getting to February, so if they want to make a case to be in the NCAA tournament, they've got to win at home. And of all the teams, if the reason I have a little bit of hesitation here, Michigan has been vulnerable at home.
Right. Yeah.
And Rutgers has played good basketball. But again, Livers is back. And we'll see how much he plays going forward. If he's in a full capacity role, then I think I'm going to give the edge to Michigan. Not by much, but just a little bit. And Rutgers, like Purdue, has not been that great on the road.
Right. No. Again, 1-4. So not good. Penn State, Saturday night, Penn State at Nebraska. I would pick Penn State to go to Nebraska and win. And then also, I'll go double here, Purdue at Northwestern, Saturday night. So Penn State at Nebraska, Purdue at Northwestern. I'd pick Penn State. I'd pick Purdue. More confidence in Penn State to go on the road and win. But I'd pick both quote-unquote favorites, most likely.
What? Ooh, I was on the mute. I was on the mute.
Right.
Well, you were talking. No, I got nothing to add. Carry on. Same.
You got Penn State on the road. You got Purdue on the road there.
Yep.
Okay. Sunday, Illinois at Iowa. That's a beautiful one. This will be the last game we recap here. Monday, there's no games. Sunday, the 2nd, FS1, 1 p.m. Eastern, Illinois at Iowa. I think Illinois, like you said, Illinois is playing the best basketball in the Big Ten. You said you would pick against them this week.
Not picking against them. Nope, not picking against them. I think they're going to go and get a big road win. I mean, until they prove me wrong. I mean, Iowa could. I mean, so here's the thing. I'm taking Illinois just because they're playing really good basketball right now, but Iowa's playing good too. And it's at Iowa. Iowa, if I'm watching this game or watching the score and Iowa wins, I'm not going to drop my jaw and go, oh, my gosh, Iowa won. Yeah, they're capable of winning. I'm just saying right now, no, I'm not betting against Illinois this week. They are playing that good. And Iowa will have their hands full on Sunday. Could they win? Yeah. Iowa plays really good at home. And Iowa's playing good basketball also. But I'm taking Illinois.
Cockburn against Garza on the inside. Those are two big bodies going against each other. That'll be big time. Super Bowl Sunday afternoon. Want something to do before the Super Bowl if you're bored. That's a good one. And then both teams have really good guards. Illinois, again, like I said, they've got a couple potential NBA guards, but definitely professional somewhere, especially DeSunmu. But they've got real guards. Iowa's got a plethora of guards and forwards they can use too. So that's another Sweet 16 level game, in my opinion. I think both teams are of that caliber. I think I said that before about Iowa. What's the other Iowa game? At Maryland. So Iowa's got their hands full. At Maryland on Thursday, and then Sunday they're at home to Illinois.
And again, if they go 0-2, that drops them down quickly too.
6-5, yeah, completely different.
I mean, it's just so amazing how fast the Big Ten can be shuffled up. And that's why I wanted you to go through the records before, because in the AP Top 25, you got those 6 teams, 14 through 24.
Right.
And if you look at the Big Ten, you go 0-2 in 1 week, and you're going to fall from, and this is hypothetical, you could fall from 5th to 10th, just like that. And now you're looking up. And now the good part about it is the next week you go 2-0 and jump from 10th to 4th. So, I mean, that just goes to show you how deep the Big Ten is, how close the Big Ten is, and how important every win in the Big Ten means to these teams trying to get in. And again, like if you follow Lenardi, he's got 12 teams in the tournament. I don't think we're getting 12 in, but we could be right around 8. I mean, right around there. So we'll see what happens. Anything else, youngster?
No. I still think around. If I had to pick, I would say 10 make it, but we'll see. Last year's record.
We still got a month to go, though, youngster. There's where my pessimism comes in. Still have another month, almost a half the schedule left. A little less than half for some teams. I'm too pessimistic that it's going to play out the way it's playing out right now. I would love 10. 10 from the Big Ten, awesome. I just don't see it. I just don't. But let the listeners know where they can find all our stuff. We did earlier in the show, but maybe some people fell asleep and they just woke up and tuned in at the end.
Maybe. At Youngster Old Man on Twitter, that's the hub, so to say. Also, thegruelingtruth.com is arguably where you're probably listening to the show. They do, they post all of our Big Ten stuff that we do. But again, the other weekly radio shows that we do that play around Denver and Cleveland and Pittsburgh, around those markets, you can find on Twitter, especially at Youngster Old Man, also Facebook.com/Youngster Old Man. You got youngsteroldman.home.blog as a webpage, but definitely on Twitter at Youngster Old Man if you want one place to go. There you go.
Yeah, because one place, because all the others, you got to start writing them down. Even for me, creating them all, it's tough to remember them all. I'm surprised you're young to remember everything. All right, youngster, time to go eat your steak. namesake, enjoy. I will get back in touch with you later for all the fans. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll get back next week, same place, same time. 10 basketball.